The drama between Ja Morant and Shannon Sharpe is spinning out of control again. And this round, it's straight up chaos. Ja is putting Shannon on blast, calling him a full-blown hypocrite after he came out swinging in defense of Tyrese Haliburton's dad. So let's break it down. Tyrese's pops, John Haliburton, got into a wild courtside shouting match with Giannis right after Game 5 of the first-round playoffs. It got loud, it got heated, security was on high alert. But out of nowhere, Shannon jumped in and publicly called out John Haliburton for being disrespectful during the exchange. Ja Morant wasn't letting that slide, not even a little. He clapped back quick, basically saying, "So Shannon can check someone else's dad, but not himself?" 'Cause let's not forget, Shannon was this close to scrapping with Ja's whole crew and his dad at a Lakers vs. Grizzlies game not too long ago. Fans are backing Ja heavy, calling Shannon out for acting like the courtside behavior police when he's done worse. And to make it even messier, folks are bringing up that lawsuit from the OnlyFans model who's accusing Shannon of some serious stuff, and get this, she's suing for $50 million. That situation alone already has his reputation hanging by a thread. Now the internet's roasting him like, how you gonna judge anybody with that mess on your plate?
I'm disrespectful just as like they disrespectful.
You pretend like you hard, but you're not, Ja. You got a $200 million contract, and you want people in the NBA to think you hood, to think you gangster, because you roll with these type of people. Bro, you putting yourself in harm's way when you don't have to.
Shannon's credibility is cracking, and Ja's making sure the whole world hears it. But here's the real question everyone's asking. Was Shannon just keeping it real about what went down? Or was he being slick and unfairly picking sides? 'Cause right after that courtside showdown, the Pacers' front office didn't waste any time. They stepped in fast. Word is they pulled John Haliburton aside and told him to fall back for a bit. A Pacers rep told ESPN it was their call, and John didn't argue, he just rolled with it. This all traces back to the wild chaos on April 29th. That night, emotions were sky high. Tyrese hit a cold-blooded layup with just 1.3 seconds left in overtime, locking in the win. But then it popped off. Giannis claimed John Haliburton stormed over waving a towel in his face and cussing him out on the court. It was a whole scene. John caught heavy backlash for that move, and before things got worse, he jumped on social media to clean it up. He posted, "I sincerely apologize to Giannis, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Pacers organization for my actions following tonight's game. This was not a good reflection on our sport, or my son, and I will not make that mistake again." Even Tyrese had to admit, he had no clue what happened between his dad and Giannis until he was back in the locker room. He was locked in, playing his game. But once he found out, yeah, he agreed his pops definitely crossed a line. Still, even after things cooled off, Shannon Sharpe wasn't letting it go. He hopped right back on his Nightcap podcast to keep the convo going. And you already know, that stirred the pot even more. Shannon Sharpe just couldn't help himself. He threw more shade at Tyrese Haliburton's dad, low-key dismissing the apology like it wasn't even real. But fans weren't having it, not one bit, especially Kevin Durant's fan base. They came for Shannon fast, calling out the massive double standard. People were quick to remind him, he's the last one who should be talking. After all, the way he acted courtside at that Lakers vs. Grizzlies game, trying to go toe-to-toe with Ja's dad and the whole squad? Nah, fans weren't letting that slide. Receipts started flying all over the timeline. When Ryan Clark suggested John Haliburton should be banned from all NBA games, one fan clapped back, "Tyrese Haliburton's dad brings a towel onto the court after a playoff winner and gets banned?" Meanwhile, Shannon tried to fight the whole Memphis roster and Ja's dad, and he's just chilling. Another fan dropped a bomb saying, "Shannon Sharpe in his 50s, fighting players, messing with OnlyFans girls, getting 2 X tapes leaked, and he got the nerve to call Ja Morant immature on national TV?" It was brutal. And guess what? Shannon didn't ease up on Ja either. Just last month, he called him out again after Ja made that gun gesture toward the Warriors bench during a heated game. The internet lit up, saying Shannon's out here picking fights with everybody, then trying to act like he's some kind of role model on TV. So here's what sparked the latest wave. Ja Morant hit a shot against Golden State and flashed his fingers like a gun. And boom, backlash came instantly. Critics came swarming, calling him reckless and accusing him of pushing that fake tough guy image again. And let's be real, people didn't just pull this out of nowhere. Ja's been under a hot spotlight for a minute now because of his past moves. Things really started spiraling after that infamous night in Denver. Ja was on Instagram Live, fresh off a game, chillin' in a strip club, and pulled out a real gun. That clip exploded online. The NBA hit him with a suspension, and his image took a major hit. At the time, Ja said he was working on himself, getting help, and learning how to deal with pressure differently. But the streets were talking, saying it didn't look like much changed. Every time he seems to take a step forward, it feels like he slides 2 steps back. And just when people thought it couldn't get any worse, bam! The situation spiraled again. The league wasn't playing games. After the second IG Live clip surfaced with another gun flash, the NBA dropped another suspension on him, calling him a threat to the league's image. That was a serious blow, and fans were split right down the middle. Some folks were like, he's young, he just needs the right mentors. Others were harsher, saying he's throwing away the chance of a lifetime. One thing's for sure, the pressure on Ja ain't letting up anytime soon. And just when the chaos couldn't get any louder, Shannon still kept jabbing at Ja. On his podcast, he didn't hold back, doubling down on everything from the gun gestures to Ja's overall image. But the way he was talking, it rubbed a lot of folks the wrong way. People started accusing Shannon of going out of his way to drag young black athletes while brushing off his own messy past. One fan posted, "So Shannon's cool with clowning Ja for flashing a finger gun, but he ain't said a word about his leaked tapes or that OnlyFans lawsuit? Please." Another said, "You were beefing with NBA players courtside like it's WWE. Now you want to preach about professionalism?" It's like every time Shannon tries to speak on Ja's behavior, the internet fires right back with his receipts. Especially after the drama with the 19-year-old model and the rumors swirling around multiple relationships he's kept quiet about. People aren't forgetting, and they're not letting him rewrite the story either. Meanwhile, Ja's camp is staying mostly silent, but fans are out here defending him hard. A wave of supporters is saying the league's being extra harsh, especially when compared to how other players' situations have been handled. Some are even pointing fingers at the media, saying they're hyping Ja's mistakes just for clicks. Now social media's on fire with debates. Who's really in the wrong here? Is Ja making bad choices? Or is Shannon pushing a tired narrative while ignoring his own skeletons? One thing's clear, this feud's not cooling down anytime soon. Now here's where it really gets spicy. Some folks are saying this ain't even about Ja or Tyrese's dad anymore. They think Shannon's using all this drama to keep his name buzzing and his podcast numbers climbing. The timing? Kinda suspicious. Every time Shannon faces heat over his own personal life, boom, he's suddenly calling someone else out.
And as they're having a conversation with a fan sitting courtside.
That's actually Ja Morant's father.
One user posted, "Every time Shannon's name starts trending for the wrong reasons, he jumps on that mic and goes after Ja again. Deflection much?" Another chimed in, "Feels like he's using Ja as a punching bag to distract from that lawsuit and his wild past." And it's not just fans noticing. Some media insiders are even hinting that Shannon's whole mentor persona might just be an act. They're saying he's positioning himself as the voice of reason for young stars, while behind the scenes, his own behavior is messier than ever. Meanwhile, Shannon keeps fueling the fire, teasing more truth bombs coming soon. He's turning this whole mess into a content loop, and people are starting to catch on. But the more he talks, the more fans dig up about his track record. There's growing backlash online calling for Shannon to take a step back and stop using players like Ja to prop up his own brand. 'Cause right now, It's looking like he's building a platform off of tearing others down. The drama's only getting deeper. And this beef? It's turning into something way bigger than just basketball. And now things are really boiling over. Some fans are saying this whole saga is exposing a double standard in the NBA media world. They're pointing out how older retired athletes like Shannon get away with wild behavior, while younger players like Ja get dragged through the mud for every little mistake. One post went viral saying, "Ja flashes fingers and it's a media storm. Shannon tries to brawl courtside and gets a podcast deal." Another added, "They treat these young dudes like criminals for acting out under pressure, while the OGs get praised for being passionate." People are starting to question who really gets protected and who gets punished. Some say it's not about setting examples. It's about controlling the narrative. And right now, Ja's being made into the face of what not to do, while Shannon somehow walks away looking like the wise elder, even with all his own scandals bubbling up.
Concerned that Ja hasn't learned his lesson yet.
I mean, he's learned his lesson. He ain't been caught on film holding on.
Well, I know this sounds crazy. This might sound crazy to y'all. But what if...
To make it worse, old clips of Shannon turning up on live TV, throwing shade, and even getting personal with players are resurfacing, and fans are calling it out loud. They're saying it's giving hypocrite energy, and wondering why the league and networks keep giving him a platform to judge everyone else. This ain't just personal anymore. It's turning into a culture war between the new generation and the old guard. And Ja, he's right in the center of it, like it or not. And just when you think it can't go any further, now celebrities are jumping in. A few rappers and influencers have started backing Ja publicly, saying the media's been on a mission to tear him down from the jump. They're calling out the way he's being treated compared to other athletes who've had scandals, but never got dragged like this. One post from a well-known artist said, "They want Ja to be the villain so bad. He young, rich, and from the trenches. Of course they don't like that he moves different." Another influencer added, "They're trying to break that man down mentally, and folks like Shannon are just helping them do it." Now it's turning into a full-blown movement online. #LetJaGrow has been trending, with fans and celebs saying Ja deserves space to make mistakes without being labeled a menace. They're not excusing everything he's done, but they are calling for fair treatment. At the same time, Shannon's getting heat from people in the industry too. Some are saying he's forgotten where he came from, and instead of lifting up the next generation, he's acting like a gatekeeper. It's all getting real personal and real public. What started as a sports controversy is turning into a much bigger convo about race, image, and who's allowed to mess up without being crucified. And if Shannon thought this was just gonna blow over, he might have seriously miscalculated. And of course, Shannon Sharpe had plenty more to say.
How you feeling? I told y'all. How you feeling, bro? I was saving it. I was saving it.
He went off on multiple shows, tearing into Ja once again, accusing him of faking a persona and telling him to grow up fast. But fans weren't buying it. They immediately called out the double standard. Social media lit up with people dragging Shannon for acting like some kind of life coach, while his name stays tied to scandal after scandal. One viral post straight up said, "Shannon Sharpe been clowning Ja Morant for months, but wasn't he just in drama with a 19-year-old model? Come on now, pot meet kettle." Another user added, "He's always the first to point fingers but never owns up to his own mess." And here's the wild twist. Despite all the noise, Ja still has one of the most loyal fan bases out there. His supporters keep riding for him hard, saying people are way too quick to cancel young stars over every mistake. Some even argued that, yeah, Ja's slipped up, but he's doing it all under the world's microscope and that pressure hits different. But the NBA? They're not playing around anymore. The message is clear. One more mess up and the consequences are going to be way more serious. Behind the scenes, word is Ja's been having meetings with mentors, team staff, and even league reps trying to clean up his image before it's too late. As for Shannon, his name still can't escape the headlines. That $50 million lawsuit from the OnlyFans model, still hanging heavy, and people aren't forgetting any of it. So now it's official. Shannon Sharpe's legal drama is heading straight to court. The woman involved is claiming emotional distress and saying Shannon manipulated her. His team's denying everything, but let's be real. The damage is already done in the court of public opinion. People online are ripping apart his character, and every time he tries to act like the wise veteran calling out bad behavior, folks are quick to remind him of his own chaos. While Ja's out here trying to clean up and rebuild, Shannon's busy dodging legal bullets. It's starting to feel like a battle between two worlds. One's trying to grow, the other's trying not to fall apart completely. And it doesn't stop there, because now the internet's on a mission. People are digging deep into Shannon's past, and it's a mess. Old videos are popping up left and right, him trash-talking players, going off on fans, and losing his cool courtside like he's the one in the game.
Gangsta. What if he can't stop?
I don't know how many gangsters are that rich.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many gangsters lost $50 million doing non-gangster. It's just, there's just certain things you can't do if your job. Same thing, with me. There's just certain.
One clip that's been going viral shows Shannon losing it during a Lakers game, barking at Dillon Brooks, shouting at the Grizzlies bench, and needing security to calm him down. That's the same night he nearly squared up with Ja Morant's dad. Fans remember it like it was yesterday, and they're not letting Shannon live that down. Now folks are clowning him hard. You can't act like a straight-up hothead one night, then pretend to be everyone's wise uncle the next. Pick a lane. The hypocrisy's got people rolling their eyes, especially since he keeps dragging Ja for being a bad example, when his own record is looking real shaky. And here's where things get even hotter. Sources close to the Grizzlies say, Ja still isn't over how Shannon tried to spin the whole situation. Word is, Ja felt seriously disrespected. Not just by Shannon's comments, but by the way he acted like he was completely innocent. But those old videos, they don't lie. You can clearly see Shannon stepping up, yelling wild, and looking like he was ready to throw hands with the entire squad. By now, this beef has nothing to do with basketball. It's personal. Ja's been trying to stay focused, clean up his image, and move forward. But every time he gets some momentum, here comes Shannon again, jumping on podcasts, dropping interviews, and tossing shade like it's part of his job description. Some fans are calling for Shannon to publicly apologize to Ja's dad. They're saying, if you can go this hard on someone else's family, then be man enough to admit when you were out of pocket too. But so far, nothing but silence. And with that massive $50 million lawsuit still following him, Shannon's got way more to worry about than just clapping at NBA stars. His whole reputation is on the ropes, and the internet is not cutting him any slack. Meanwhile, things got worse for Ja too. Right after the first scandal cooled down, he did it again. This time he was riding in a car with a friend on IG Live. And yep, he flashed another gun. Fans were stunned. Like, seriously? Did he really not learn from the first time? This whole thing is spiraling out in public, and it's getting harder and harder to tell who's falling faster. Shannon or Ja? Let's rewind real quick to that infamous Lakers versus Grizzlies game back in January 2023, where things really exploded. It all kicked off when Shannon Sharpe, sitting courtside as usual repping hard for LeBron, told Dillon Brooks he was too small to guard the king. Brooks fired back with some strong words. And Shannon? He didn't back down at all. That back and forth got heated fast. Next thing you know, Ja Morant, Steven Adams, and even Ja's dad were all in the mix. The whole sideline turned into a scene, and security had to rush in before it turned into a full-on brawl. It was wild. Surprisingly, some fans actually sided with Shannon at the time, saying he was just holding his ground and defending his opinion. But after the dust settled, even Shannon admitted it was not a good look. He called it one of the worst moments of his life and said he regretted how it all went down. But now that Shannon's out here calling out John Haliburton for acting up courtside in almost the exact same way, fans are calling it what it is: pure hypocrisy. The internet didn't hold back. One fan straight up said, "So it's cool when Shannon turns up, but everybody else gotta stay calm? Make it make sense." And with that clip still floating around online, Shannon's words are coming back to bite hard. Calling anyone out for bad choices while you're wrapped up in that OnlyFans lawsuit? Yeah, that's wild. One fan even said, if Jay's dad can't be courtside hyping his son, then why is Uncle Shannon allowed to go full defense mode for LeBron every game? And just like that, the internet's divided. Some say Shannon had a point about Haliburton's dad. Others say it's just flat out ridiculous coming from him of all people. So what do you think? Was Shannon speaking facts? Or was it all just messy deflection? If you made it to the end, you already know the drill. Smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, share this with someone who needs the tea, and make sure you subscribe with those notifications on so you never miss a moment of the madness. See you in the next one. Peace.